Hello friends. For those new to my channel, welcome. For those who have been around a little bit, this is a very different video than I would normally make. You probably know me as a guitarist interested in improvised music, and I put out videos about things I'm working on and some performances I've had and some ideas I have about improvisation and composition. But I'm also very interested in sound on its own and sound art. And I had this idea come to me a while ago, many years ago, in fact, that's been brewing, and I finally decided to take some action on it and build a prototype to see if it was viable. And this is it. And I thought I'd take a quick video about the process and what my intention was here. So it really came from playing my electric guitar unplugged and hearing, as I'm fingering all the notes, the activity on the left side. So I'm going to demonstrate briefly on the acoustic guitar. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this very well, but of course as we play notes, we're shortening the length of the string and getting, various pitches on the right side of the fretted note. But on the left side of the fretted note, there are other notes there, and as you ascend on the right side, the notes go descending on the opposite side. So as I move up here, the notes are ascending. If I play the same thing but pluck here, the notes descend, right? So it's kind of a mirror. And I was hearing this, thinking, how could I take advantage of that sound, that idea, and make some sound art with it? What I really also wanted to do is take advantage of some of the harp-like sounds on a guitar, like between the tailpiece and the bridge, like this. You get all these interesting harp-like sounds, and also between the nut and the tuning pegs, you get another set of pitches like this, and I wanted to take advantage of those. So my idea was to put pickups on all the ends, right? This is basically the scale of a guitar. I put a pickup between the tailpiece and the bridge so I can get some interesting sounds there. I kept the string width the same. I only decided to go with just 3 strings for my prototype and build my own nut here, but then have another pickup where I can amplify these harp-like tones between the nut and the tuning pegs. And each side has its own set of electronics. Volume pot, a tone pot, and a switch to switch between either the bridge pickup, whatever we're going to call this, between the tailpiece and the bridge pickup, or both. And that's the same on both sides. So this was my idea. So what I did was started with some graph paper. I drew it to scale, thought of how it might look, what it might feel like, both from a front view like this that we're seeing, and also from a top view like that, to get the dimensions straight. And I wanted some bracing to make sure I could play when I'm sitting down and fit my legs in there, and also the bottom brace that we see. I think you can see that. My idea was to ultimately line that with Velcro and be able to put different pedals there to control both sides, particularly volume pedals, where I can swell in one side or the other to get various textures. So this was my idea. So what I did was went through my box of parts, years of just working on guitars, have some stuff laying around. I found some parts. I then figured out what I needed, bought a few more parts to cover that gap. And then I got some wood, did some measurements, and then I started putting it together. And that was a fun process. I do not consider myself a builder in any stretch of the imagination, but I have half a brain, so I can take measurements and cut to scale and put it together, and that's what I did. And then I went through my electronics. I added those, like I said, the volume pot, the tone pot, 3-way switch, 2 pickups, separate outputs, and this is the result. The intention, again, being not so much a musical instrument in the traditional sense, but a sound generator, a way to generate some sounds. And for those who might know my channel, I do have a playlist of that I call Stringscapes, which is basically all electronic and loop driven from a guitar, sonic possibilities that are driven from a guitar, but it's still a traditional instrument. I wanted to expand that a little bit more by going into something different. So the intention here is just to create sounds and to use those sounds in as a most musical context as I can. So I thought I'd share this with you. Hope you enjoy it. Here's a sample.